Hey everyone! So today we are going to do some review about solving equations, and this is just here just in case you need a refresher. So let's go ahead and start out with an example. So I'm going to start out with an easy one, and I'm going to have y plus 3 is equal to 8. So say I wanted to solve for y. Now in order to get y by itself, I have to move this 3 over to the other side. So in order to do that, anything that I want to move over, I have to perform the opposite operation of what's going on. So if this is a plus 3, in order to move it over, I'm going to subtract 3 because subtraction is the opposite of addition. So this is going to give me 0, and I'm just going to bring down my y. And on the other side, I have 8 minus 3, which will give me 5. So for this one, this is my answer, y equals 5. So now I'm going to do another one that's going to be just a little more difficult. Okay, so let's say that I have 2x plus 1 equals 5. Now if you see, now I have a 2 being multiplied by my x, and I have this plus 1. So I want to move over, the first thing I want to move over is whatever is not attached to my x. In this case, I want to move my 1 over first because the 2 is being attached to my x. So in order to move my 1 over, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 1. This is going to give me 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. And I bring down my 2x. And on the other side, I am left with 4. So from here, again, I'm going to do the same exact thing. So this is being multiplied. I have 2 times x. So in order to move the 2 to the other side, I'm going to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide by whatever I want to move over. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1x is the same thing as just x. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this would be my answer. Okay, so let's try another one. Let me just switch pens here so that way we know which one's which. Okay, so now I have 4y minus 2 equals 14. Okay, so same thing. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can do this one yourself. So first I want to move over the 2 because remember I want to move over first what is not attached to my y. So in order to move it over, I'm going to add 2 on both sides. Negative 2 plus 2, this will give me 0. Bring down my 4y. And then on my right hand side, 14 plus 2 will give me 16. And this is being multiplied 4 times y, so I'm going to do the opposite and divide by 4. And then this is going to give me y because 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, so say I had division. Let's go ahead and see how we would do that one. So let's say I had y over 2. This is the fourth example. Okay, y over 2 minus 6 equals 8. Okay, so I'm going to start out the same exact way. I want to move the 6 over. In order to move it over, I have to add 6 because that's the opposite. So negative 6 plus 6, this is going to give me 0. So that's going to cancel out. So I'm just left with y over 2 equals 6. 6 plus 8 will give me 14. So I have y over 2 equals 14. So now with this part, Um, right here, y is being divided by 2. So in order to move the 2 over, remember I have to do the opposite operation. So in this case, I'm going to be multiplying both sides by 2. And we'll see why that works out. So if I'm going to multiply these, I'm going to need a denominator. So my denominator is going to be 1. So it's going to be 2 over 1 times y over 2. And in order to multiply, I'm just going to multiply straight across. So I'm going to multiply this way and this way. So 2 times y will give me 2y, and 1 times 2 will give me 2. And on this side, 14 times 2 will give me 28. I had to do that on my calculator. Okay, 28. So if we see here, we can simplify this part on the left. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that would just leave me with y equals 28. And that's the answer for this one. Okay, so another way to look at this to make it just a little bit faster is if I'm looking at this part and say I have 2 times y over 2 equals 14 times 2. So I just wrote that part over. So something a little faster. If you have to do all of this part, that's totally fine. But if you want to look at it a little faster, all you're going to do is simplify this 2 and the denominator of 2. And you know that that's going to leave you with y, and 14 times 2 is 28. So if you see, it's going to give you the same exact thing. Okay, so like I said, whichever way for you is easiest, then that's what you should do. So let's go ahead and try a last one. And for this one, we're going to make it just a little harder. Okay, so say I have 2y plus 3 equals 12. Okay, hold on, I forgot an x. So let's put an x right here. And I still want to solve for y. Okay, so we're still solving for y. And the same principle applies. Even though there's an x in here, the same exact principle applies. So just like we did in the others, in order to get this 3x to the other side, I'm going to subtract by 3x. Don't forget to bring that x along with it. So 3x minus 3x, that's going to give me 0, so it's going to cancel out. And I'm just left with 2y. And on the right-hand side, now if you see, we do not have any like terms, so I'm just going to rewrite it. 3x plus 12. And the reason I cannot combine them is because my 12 does not have an x. So now I'm going to keep focusing on my y and divide it by 2. And I'm going to divide every term on this side by 2. Okay, so now I'm left with y on this side because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that leaves me with y. Negative 3 divided by 2, I can't simplify that anymore. So that is going to stay negative 3 divided by 2. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. And that is how you do that one. Okay, so that was a little strange. So let's just go ahead and do just one more example with this something similar. Okay, so example number 6. Let's see. I'm just making up numbers at the top of my head. So what's a good one? How about 5y minus 10 equals 20. Okay, so we're gonna do, oh man, I did it again. Okay, so let's just pretend there's an x right here, equals 20. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I'm going to move the 10x over to the other side since I'm solving for y. So I'm gonna add 10x to both sides of my line. Okay, so negative 10x plus 10x is 0, so that cancels. I bring down my 5y, and this is going to give me, well, I can't combine those. Remember, they're not like terms. So that's just going to stay 10x plus 20. And my last step is to divide by 5 because I want to isolate my y. So remember, you have to divide by every term on the right side of your equation. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. That leaves me with y equals 10 divided by 5 is 2, so 2x. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. So that is the answer. So that is how you simplify equations. And if you have any questions at all, do let us know because you are going to be using this quite a lot. So let us know.